Every NFL season, certain players stand at a critical crossroads, the kind that can define not just their own careers, but the entire course of their team's season. In 2025, every franchise has that one guy who could tilt the balance between triumph and disappointment. For the Las Vegas Raiders, Pro Football Focus believes that player is Malcolm Koonce. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about whether it's a make or break season for Koonce. It's about whether he's the make or break piece for the Raiders as a team. And if you look closely, that distinction matters. The Raiders have spent years trying to find someone who could consistently line up opposite Max Crosby and generate pressure. Late in the 2023 season, it looked like they might have finally found that missing piece in Koonce. From Week 10 through Week 18, Koonce posted a phenomenal 84.9 pass rush grade according to PFF, one of the best in the league over that stretch. He wasn't just producing, he was thriving. Then, injury wiped out his entire 2024 season. But despite that setback, the Raiders saw enough to bring him back on a one-year deal in 2025. Now, everything hinges on whether he can return to that same disruptive form. If he does, the Raiders' defense suddenly becomes dangerous. With Crosby drawing double teams, a healthy and explosive Koonce could transform the pass rush into a true game-wrecking force, something this franchise hasn't had in years. There's no question Koonce's performance will have a massive impact, not just for this season, but possibly for the future of the team under Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham. Let's not forget, Koonce didn't get much of a shot under the previous regime. But once Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler were gone and Antonio Pierce took over, Koonce made the most of his opportunity. He played with energy, with focus, and with something to prove. And now, in 2025, that hunger matters more than ever. If he stays healthy and picks up where he left off, this Raiders defense might finally take that next step, not just in flashes, but for real. When a player gets their shot and delivers, I'll always respect that. That's exactly what Malcolm Koonce did. He didn't talk much. He just showed up and produced, and that earns recognition. Now let's talk about the real crossroads Koonce is standing at. In 2023, he was beginning to break through. Analysts were projecting he could command upwards of $20 million per year, based on that late season surge. But everything changed with one devastating moment, an ACL tear just before the 2024 season kicked off. That injury forced him to accept a one-year, $12 million prove-it deal in 2025. That's the crossroads. Koonce could have become a long-term defensive cornerstone with life-changing money. Instead, he's back on a short-term deal, fighting to prove he belongs, not just on the roster, but among the league's top edge rushers. Let's put his career in perspective. Koonce has played in 39 games, but only started 11. He's logged just 617 snaps in total, a surprisingly low number for a player now viewed as so essential to the Raiders' future. And yet, that's the point. In a short time, he made an impact big enough to spark hope. In those final 8 to 9 games of 2023, under Antonio Pierce, Rob Leonard, and Patrick Graham, he looked like the missing piece to a complete pass rush. Pair that version of Koonce with Max Crosby, you're looking at a potential top-tier edge duo in the entire NFL. That's what it takes to win in the modern league. That's how you compete with Patrick Mahomes. Just ask the 2020 Buccaneers, who won a Super Bowl by collapsing the pocket and throwing Mahomes off rhythm, or the 2022 Eagles, who flustered him with relentless edge pressure. If the Raiders want to contend in the AFC, not just survive, but truly contend, it starts with consistent pressure, and Koonce holds the key. He's not a loud leader. He doesn't demand attention. But when he's on the field and locked in, he plays with quiet fire, and that sets the tone. Not just for this season, but for the long-term vision of this Raiders franchise. Because this isn't just about 2025, this is about building a sustainable contender, a team that's respected, a team that wins meaningful games in December, in January, and maybe even February. And Malcolm Koonce, at this critical moment, has a chance to be at the heart of it. Up next, I'll break down the top 5 make-or-break players for the Raiders this season, and I've ranked them from 5 all the way to number 1. Let's go back for a moment to that quote from Pro Football Focus, because it sets the stage for something bigger. Every year, players throughout the NFL reach a crossroads in their careers and can single-handedly make or break the success of their team's season. So I asked myself, Who are the 5 Raiders players that truly fit that definition heading into 2025? Players who are standing right at the edge. It's either step forward into greatness or fade into the background. Let's start with number 5, wide receiver Trey Tucker. Now in his 3rd year, this is the moment where wide receivers are expected to take that next leap. For Tucker, the road hasn't been easy. He was drafted by a different regime, under Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, and now finds himself adjusting to his 3rd head coach and 3rd offensive coordinator in as many years. That's a lot of change, and change often buries young players. But instead of folding, Tucker responded. Even after the team brought in multiple receivers in the draft, Jack Beck, Dante Thornton Jr., and Tommy Mellott, he didn't blink. He embraced the pressure, locked in, and earned reps with the first team. He's showing that deep speed and playmaking potential that made him intriguing in the first place. With Geno Smith now under center, there's a chance Tucker becomes the Raiders' version of Tyler Lockett, that reliable, explosive option who stretches the field and delivers in key moments. Now, at number 4, we circle back to Malcolm Koonce. He's already been discussed in depth, but his importance can't be overstated. Koonce is the wild card in the pass rush. If he can stay healthy and return to that late 2023 form, he'll give Max Crosby the support he's never truly had. But make no mistake, this is a critical moment for Malcolm. He's out to prove he's not just a flash in the pan. He's fighting to become a core piece of the Raiders' defensive future. Still, while his impact could be massive, he's not the most important name on this list. There are others whose make-or-break potential may directly shape the Raiders' entire trajectory in 2025. And that's where we go next, because the top 3 names are where things really get serious. Let's keep it rolling with the countdown and circle back briefly to Malcolm Koonce. The Raiders once used a 3rd-round pick on him out of Buffalo, yet he spent much of his time on special teams or used situationally. But that's where he shines. You don't want him playing heavy snaps in the run game. That's not his strength. But put him in on 3rd downs, in pure pass rush situations, and just let him be an athlete, let him pin his ears back and attack, that's where he can wreak havoc. If the Raiders stick to that formula, Koonce is poised for a breakout year. Now let's talk about number 3, Tyree Wilson. Wilson is a freakish talent. Drafted 7th overall in 2023, he walks onto the field with an 86-inch wingspan, rare athleticism, and the kind of build you'd expect to see in a video game. On paper, he looks like the perfect edge defender, but it hasn't clicked. Not yet. His rookie season was hampered by a lingering foot injury, and he was never expected to be thrown into the fire that quickly. But the unexpected departure of Chandler Jones forced Wilson into a role he wasn't ready for. The results were mixed. Still, by the end of 2023, we saw flashes. We saw growth. And now, entering year 3, there are no more excuses. Wilson is reportedly dialed in this offseason. Defensive line coach Rob Leonard has praised his progress, and it's clear Wilson wants to prove people wrong. This is a pivotal season, not just in terms of his development, but potentially his future contract. If Tyree Wilson plays to his potential, the Raiders could have something special brewing. A defensive line featuring Crosby, Koonce, and Wilson at full strength has the tools to become one of the top units in the NFL. And that brings us to number 2, Christian Wilkins. Let's be clear. The Raiders didn't hand Wilkins $27 million a year to just plug a hole. They brought him in to be the anchor, the tone setter, the core of a front that has to lead this team. Wilkins can do more than just stuff the run. His presence demands attention, double teams, slide protections, adjustments at the line, and when that happens, everything opens up. For Crosby, for Koonce, for Wilson, he makes everyone around him better. That's why his role is so critical in 2025. The Raiders didn't just reshuffle the defensive front, they reshaped the entire identity of the defense. Veterans like Trayvon Moehrig, Nate Hobbs, and Robert Spillane are gone. There are holes in the secondary, and if the front 4 can't generate pressure, the back end is going to get exposed. Fast. But if Wilkins plays like the game wrecker, he was in Miami, then this defensive line isn't just dangerous, it's dominant. And that makes Wilkins one of the most important players in silver and black this season. Let's make one thing clear. Christian Wilkins might be the most important defensive player on the Raiders, not named Max Crosby. His presence could very well make or break the success of this defense in 2025. But when it comes to the entire team, there's no one more critical than Geno Smith. Look, PFF naming Malcolm Koonce as the Raiders' make-or-break player isn't wrong, but to say he's more impactful to the team's success than the quarterback? That's a stretch. Geno Smith is stepping into one of the most defining moments of his career. After years of fighting for respect, he's now the leader of a new-look Raiders offense under Pete Carroll, a reunion that carries both risk and promise. Yes, he has a 3-year deal. Yes, he's proven doubters wrong before. But this is the year he has to cement himself as the guy in Las Vegas. The team has been through a carousel of QBs: Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jarrett Stidham, and even Desmond Ridder. And if that list makes you wince, you're not alone. This franchise is starving for stability under center, and Geno has a chance to bring exactly that. When you look at the numbers, his last 3 seasons don't lie. Despite playing behind one of the league's worst offensive lines, Geno ranks 6th in wins among all quarterbacks over that span. He's efficient, poised, and quietly one of the most underrated signal callers in the game. Forget the noise about interceptions. Forget the criticism about red zone efficiency. The NFL is about wins, and Geno Smith knows how to deliver them. That's why he tops the list. If Geno plays at his best, the Raiders aren't just competitive. They're a legitimate playoff threat. If he falters, the entire offense could spiral. It's that simple. Final list: Raiders' top 5 make-or-break players for 2025. Geno Smith, quarterback Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle Tyree Wilson, edge Malcolm Koonce, edge Trey Tucker, wide receiver. This list paints a clear picture. There's immense pressure on the defense, but everything hinges on the quarterback. 2025 isn't just another season. It's the first chapter of a new era. And if the Raiders are going to rise, it starts with Geno Smith leading the way.